corvette is launched. When it became apparent that Nazi Germany was pinning our hopes on making the seas around Britain impassable for our supply ships, the Admiralty gave orders to every available British shipyard to build this new class of warship to counter the threat. And today, in ever-increasing numbers, new corvettes are going down the slipways. The first corvettes were built before the war broke out, and all bore the name of seabirds: Puffin, Pintail, Sheldrake. They looked like miniature destroyers and were in fact built in Admiralty yards. But more and more were needed and civilian yards had to be used. So another class was designed, the Flower class, Nasturtium, Primrose, Delphinium. This class can be turned out quickly and in large numbers. Built on the whale catcher lines, they can stand up to the worst Atlantic weather. Their job is to protect convoys. Here is one of the Flower class taking in final and most important stores as she sets out on anything up to 3 weeks at sea with a convoy. But ships must be fed as well as men, and the corvette comes alongside the oil tanker to take in fuel. Every minute, day or night, the crew must be prepared for instant action against a determined and ruthless enemy. So one of the first jobs is to inspect guns and offensive equipment. Look, right ahead in the distance, on the horizon. What a grand sight. That's what we've been waiting to see. There the convoy this corvette has been detailed to escort. When we draw nearer, you'll see a motley collection of ships, all shapes and sizes. Besides British, there are Dutch, Greek, Polish, and Norwegian, and all helping in the Allied cause. There are long periods of monotony in the daily life of the crews, but this monotony is lightened by one or two important functions. The crew's daily rum ration. And while we're on the subject of drinks, the mother of these 3 10-day-old kittens went ashore to look up a friend and missed her ship. The crew gladly became foster mothers and decided to milk feed the children with a fountain pen filler. A bit of fresh fish is welcome, so hopeful ratings are always ready to try their luck over the rail. One never knows when enemy ears may be lurking around. So any very important or secret messages are passed in this way, when weather permits. But calm conditions like this are the exception rather than the rule. And the corvette is able to look after herself in the worst that the Atlantic can do, though life aboard can be remarkably uncomfortable when really dirty weather is about. When meal times come round, transporting food from the galley is quite a balancing act, but it arrives safely to the hungry wardroom. If that empty raft could speak, it would have a story to tell. Perhaps of a tragedy, perhaps of a nick-of-time rescue. A floating mine. In its present state, it's a danger to shipping, so the crew proceed to dispatch it with machine gun fire. Occasionally, a mine will explode when hit. More often, it sinks to the bottom, like this one. And under the sea, there's another lurking danger, the U-boat. One of the escorting warships has detected something on her anti-submarine instruments. This is where the corvette comes into her own. She was built for just such an occasion. And the vast explosions of her depth charges seal the fate of any U-boat in the vicinity. mines and U-boats are not the only danger. This convoy is an important one, and the enemy launches his attack from the air as well as from the sea. A message has just been flashed to warn us that hostile aircraft have been shadowing us and are now coming in to attack. Every man knows his essential function and gets about his job. Here the blighters come. Not many of them, but quite enough. Now you'll see what a bombing attack looks like at sea. That's typical of life in the Corvettes. Many hours with nothing happening at all, and when it does, often nothing decisive to show for it, except the one vital fact: the convoy gets through. No wonder these men feel able to deal with any problem they're called on to face, except, of course, downright magic. And one other problem they couldn't solve. The storm proved too strong for all their efforts at foster mothering, and this sole survivor is left to become the ship's mascot. The work of the Corvette goes on, week in and week out, doing their vital bit to help win the battle of the seas for those nations that have pledged themselves to fight for freedom in this life and death struggle. There are many types of British warships out there playing their part. There is none more important than the Corvette.